Hi everyone, and welcome to the very first edition of Webbing the Surf, which is brought to you from Sayulita CoWork and by CustomerBloom, who can grow your business faster. This has been a project I've been kind of dreaming of for a couple of years now, with the idea that webbing the surf is a metaphor for people like us who are leveraging technology to live wherever and however they'd like. So today, so honored to have the very first guest, Mr. James. James, why don't you tell us who are you and where are you from?
Sure. So James McCalmont, I'm from the little small town of Keswick, Ontario. Currently working for DealDash.
Oh, you even wore the shirt?
I even wore the shirt.
Oh,
rep it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it.
Doing customer support, or as I like to say, customer happiness.
Customer happiness. Awesome. So, DealDash is a company that is totally cool with people working remote.
Yes.
How'd you get the gig?
I got the gig off a website called WeWorkRemotely.com, and it's funny because DealDash actually didn't pay WeWorkRemotely to put the post up, but they did anyways from another site called remote.io, and I found out this later because I've got a little bit more involved with recruitment, and since then we kind of put two and two together and realized that they just grabbed that post because I guess remote job postings were slow that month. So it was
They just scraped it in?
They just scraped it in, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Freaking easy.
So that post too, it came up, and I was checking WeWork Remotely quite frequently because I was really interested in remote work. And I remember I got in that night at about 3 to 4 a.m. and every job application I had up until that point, I was pretty very serious about, and very serious is kind of a bad way, but diplomatic in how I would respond to the job posting. And this one was months into trying to find remote work, and I just thought, you know what, I'll show my full personality, and I'll show just who I am, and just be a little silly, be a little goofy. And that's the one that led to an interview, and that's why I'm on this couch talking to you today.
That's awesome. Well, DealDash, you were saying your CEO is a younger guy, right?
Yeah. William is a year older than me, so he would be 23 now.
Nice.
And he started the company when he was 16 years old.
And for how long have you been working for them?
I've been working for them now coming up on 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So 6 months, you're 6 months into a remote gig, and you've already been a few places, right?
I certainly have, yeah.
So Sayulita CoWork is in Sayulita, Mexico, and before you were here, you were where?
I was in Hawaii, on Oahu.
And how was the co-working experience there?
The co-working experience there was really interesting. So it was kind of far from me. I made it out to an event, and it was a lot bigger in sort of space-wise, but there was less people there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think for sure Sayulita CoWork here, it's been more communication because we're all in a tighter space.
Right.
And you kind of see when everyone comes and goes here, and it's a little bit more of an intimate environment, which is really cool. But in terms of calls and that type of thing, it was sort of there was more designated space for me to sneak off when I'm being a little too loud or something like that. So
you are kind of loud, but it's
yeah,
cool.
I'm super loud.
So this is fascinating to me because this whole thing is just kind of getting started, and so did you plan your housing around being close to a co-working space?
See, yeah, we did for this one for sure. On
Here or in Hawaii?
Here for sure we planned.
Sayulita is a pretty small town, so
yeah,
everyone's pretty much within walking distance of here. But in
right.
Hawaii,
well, I have a friend here that works remotely, and it's kind of interesting. If I kind of would have been in a bit of trouble if you guys weren't here, because the internet speed everywhere else isn't fast enough for me to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
And Oahu was different because internet's fast everywhere in Hawaii. But for here, for sure, my friend Jacob that works here as well, Clever Zebo, shout out. He told me about the space and was kind of the deciding factor on where in Mexico we were going to go, because he told me how amazing and beautiful Sayulita was. So.
Nice. So you're only 6 months in, but what have been the biggest challenges with working remotely?
The biggest challenge, we just kind of spoke about, is definitely internet. So there are certain places that I'm limited to internet speed that I just won't venture to, because the job that I do, I need to ensure that I have the best call quality for my clients.
Yeah. And that's something I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, a lot of people new to the idea of co-working have such little faith in it, but I don't think they realize, like, I feel like I'm way more professional than 3/4 of the people I've ever worked with in a traditional setting. Like, I never am not somewhere where I know I'm going to have good internet when it's time to go to work.
Right.
And to me, it's like, especially, you know, if you just plan it out, it's an amazing opportunity.
Definitely. And as you said, like, getting to work. So time zone is another thing to factor in. So the other prong there is like time zone, relativity, and sort of internet speed there. Yeah.
Next question is, where are you going next?
Next is definitely South America.
Yeah?
Yeah. Huge aspirations to do Brazil, Colombia, and up to Panama a little bit as well.
So how much recon have you done as far as scoping out internet?
Definitely done some recon through Nomad List, which everyone watching, if you haven't checked that out, you should check that out as well. Shout out to Levels. And Nomad List kind of is a website that allows you to sort of check these things before you actually go to a place. Yeah. So the internet speed in Florianopolis, Brazil is very good. Cost of living for expats, very good as well. So that's kind of an area that I'd start, and then from then would do a little bit more recon and research as I go.
Nice.
I kind of like to not plan too much because things do happen and ideas can change, and if you overplan, then kind of get stuck doing something. When you get there, you might realize you can do something else that's a little bit cooler. So
yeah. So here's a question that I think is pretty interesting because this whole thing is so new. Will you nomad forever?
I want to, yeah. Like, as of right now, absolutely. I think it would be so cool to raise a family abroad.
Well, you had mentioned that you wanted to kind of end up in Europe for a while, right?
Yeah. The goal is to sort of have one place to stay maybe 6 months out of the year, and then travel in, quote unquote, developing countries for the other 6.
That's kind of my situation. I nomaded to Mexico, and now it's kind of like I'm here most of the year, and then I go back to Philadelphia a couple of times a year,
right,
and then try to do some other stuff. But now that I'm a family man, we're going to have to wait a couple of years before we can make any wild trips.
Right.
So before we wrap it up, tell us real quick, like, what are the top 5 tools that you rely on every day to do your job?
Slack, 100%. Live on Slack. Definitely, like, personal tools too. I want to talk about that as opposed to tools that we all work with, because I feel like everyone's Slack, Yammer, HipChat, just to name a few of the ones that I work with. But definitely, like, my Kindle, like 100% live on that thing. And being a customer service rep, Audible too is huge as well. So
what's that? Your super little mixer thing that you have?
No, that's different. That's like
it's got like a DJ booth.
Yeah, I'm like a DJ while I'm working. Audible is actually the audiobook version of Kindle.
Oh, okay.
So I can listen to audiobooks while I work, and I think that's really important. And any other CSRs out there too, nonfiction is very good for creativity, and it shouldn't be ignored. You don't always feel like you have to be looking at non-fictional stuff as well. You can dabble into the fiction. So yeah, I definitely think Kindle, Audible, Slack. We use Yammer to post ideas, like Facebook, like kind of like a Facebook feed. For those who don't know, it's like a Facebook feed, but for work. And as long as everyone's engaged on that one works really well too. World Time Buddy for keep up on my time.
You live in Zendesk, right?
Live in Zendesk, 100%. Yeah, we use Zendesk, so it's another huge one. I'm trying to think of other ones that we've implemented a lot of little ones lately. Same Room if you're at a company that has 2 chat platforms, Same Room will allow those to kind of correspond, and you can send a message in one, it'll send to the other.
It's cool to see, like, bouncing ideas off you because we're working right next to each other. Like, hey, you guys using this? Like, oh, we actually just started. We're messing with it. Yeah. It's still, like, it's all so up in the air. It's just so cool. Like, new tools are coming out so fast. I think it's kind of fun to, where this is all going to go.
Definitely. And, like Product Hunt, just getting on Product Hunt is huge. We have a guy on our team, and he's a non-technical dude. He doesn't know how to code, but, like, then again, he actually is kind of a technical dude because he does all the integrations for us, and he's always up on, like, what's next and what we should integrate further, and, like, that kind of makes him a technical dude. And as things progress in this nomad thing, I think we're all going to have to gravitate towards being more and more technical.
What were we geeking out on the other day? Oh, Zapier.
Zapier. We were yes. Yeah.
What did they roll out the other day?
The multiple
zaps. Yeah. Multi-zaps is where it's at. Awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you got to get
Cheers,
back to
man.
work. You're
Yeah,
working that
awesome.
graveyard shift, right?
Working the graveyard shift. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show, and thanks for coming by the workspace.
Thanks, guys.
So, webbing the surf, the motto, I think, is going to be work the web so you can enjoy the surf, whatever your surf may be. See you next time.